that you're going to see opposites in the number world. To define that, it's the same number but different sign. So if I say to you, what is the opposite of 6? You would say -6. Same number, different sign. This one's positive, that one's negative. -2, +2. Same number, different sign. That one's negative, that one's positive. Oh my word. See what I mean? All right. To define all of that for you, they have the gray box. The gray box describes whatever the number is, the opposite is the other sign. Okay? And 0 has no opposite. Okay, 0 is just 0. Now, to kind of clarify that gray box thing number 4, the opposite of -a is a. Okay? So like the opposite of -8 is remove the sign 8. Okay? And they wrote it by saying the opposite of -8. The opposite of a negative is a positive. The opposite of -a is the positive. I could do it also by saying the opposite of a is -a. The opposite of 12 is -12. Okay? The opposite of that +12 is protected in the parentheses. That's all they're saying there. We're going to do some example ones that are mine for you, so yours in the book or yours to look at later. Here's the first one. This literally means the opposite of the sum of 3 and 2. The opposite of the sum of 3 and 2. The opposite of +5. Would you guys agree that that's -5 based on what we're talking about? Awesome. And the next one I'm going to do is a real simple looking one. The opposite of -3.5. The opposite of a negative is what? Positive. Bravo. Okay. We're going to do another one. This is example 2. Still continuing to use the word evaluate, which means solve to the best of your abilities with the knowledge you've been given. Evaluate. If t is a -4. Now, you guys are right now thinking this is easy, this is easy, this is easy. Okay? Be very, very careful right now as we go through some of these. Evaluate if t is -4. Okay, if that's what they give us.
Jonathan Jones to the office, please.
T's value is -4. Okay, so it's the opposite of t's value, and I'm going to put a parenthesis around it just so that it doesn't look like 2 dashes. Okay? If there is a preceding negative and the value itself is negative, it looks like this. Okay? That is a huge hiccup that I continue to see. Four plus 9, would you say? Good. Okay. All right. That's example 2. Absolute value. So we've just discussed opposites. Absolute value, depending upon your understanding of stuff, I always say is the distance from 0 of the number in question. Okay, so visualizing a number line, 0, 1, 2, 3, -1, -2. Let's take -2 for example. -2. If I wanted to know the absolute value of -2, I would put these straight lines. And what I am asking you is how far away from 0 does this guy live? What would you tell me? 2. Yep. What if I asked you for the absolute value of +2? What would you tell me? 2. So what that tells us is whatever the normal number in the box is, you know, whether it's, you know, you look at it and you say, well, that's the kind of normal number. That is what you put as the absolute value. It's always going to be a positive answer. Okay? I'm sorry. I'm going to give you guys a second to copy that and then I'm going to flip it. Remember how we just learned the term opposites though? If I say to you the opposite of the absolute value of 12, first of all, what's the absolute value of 12? Good. What's the opposite of 12? Good. That's when that negative would then affect the answer in an absolute value situation. Okay? And by the way, the absolute value of 0 is 0. End of story. 0 is 0 pieces away from itself. Example 3 has you working with absolute value scenarios that you've been given, adding them together, maybe subtracting them, different things like that. So for my example 3, I have this. The absolute value of -4 added to the absolute value of 7. Anybody want to hazard a guess as to what the sum of those two absolute values would be? 11. The absolute value of -4 is 4. The absolute value of 7 is 7. So the end result is 11. Or maybe I might have you do some sort of multiplication utilizing absolute value. Like, say, the absolute value of -14 added to the product of 6 and the absolute value of -2. Okay? Remember, if a number precedes something, like a variable or a parentheses, it means multiply that number by whatever it is preceding. So what's the absolute value of 14, folks? -14. 14, yeah. And what is the absolute value of -2? Multiply it by 6. What do you get? Good. Would you say 26 is going to be your answer? Good. Now, sometimes you might be asked to give a difference. Like this. 12 minus the absolute value of 12. What's the end result? 0. 12 minus 12. Okay. 2 more things. Example 4 says, what could produce an absolute value of, say, 6? What different things or thing lives 6 away from 0? I don't even know why I draw my number lines before I label it. How many options would you believe there are for this value? 2. Yeah. If you said 1, you're forgetting that -6 also lives 6 away from 0. So the answer is both 6 and -6. Both 6 and -6 are 6 places from 0. Okay? Or maybe I might say to you, the opposite of what number or numbers can produce an absolute value of 9? I'm not going to draw a number line. What do you think? Okay, what the opposite of what number or numbers is 9 away from 0? Good. Still 2 answers. Because both, I know that's not a real word, but we're going to use it. Opposites, or both, distance from 0 is 9. One more of these. Remember, we're talking about absolute value, and absolute value is distance away from 0. Would you agree? How about the absolute value of z? What values of z are -3 away from 0? Are there any numbers whose distance is -3 positions? Be really careful how you think about this. This is 9 away from 0. That is 9 away from 0. Absolute value is 9. This is 6 away from 0. This is 6 away from 0. We're talking steps away. Absolute value is 6. Are there any that do not have steps away from 0, ergo -3 steps away from 0? No. Let's look at it real quick. 0, 1, 2, 3, -1, -2, -3. So there's your 3's. -3 is 1, 2, 3 spaces away, not -3. +3 is 1, 2, 3 spaces away, not -3. The answer, my friends, is no solution, because no number is a distance of -3 spaces away. It's almost like saying you're going to go to your aunt's house. No matter if she lives north of here or south of here, the distance away is positive, right? The absolute value of miles to Aunt Susie's house is a positive number. Think of this as miles, okay? Same idea. The last thing, which they don't have a sample of, but I want to show it to you, translate words into symbols. We're going to translate words into symbols, and the words are the absolute value of -2 is less than the absolute value of 3. That's what we're translating. So absolute value symbol compared to absolute value symbol. What am I going to put on the left? In the left absolute value symbol. Good. And what is the comparison I'm going to use? Less than or greater than? And what goes on the right? 3. So absolute value of -2. Don't say 2. Actually list what it says. Less than. Absolute value symbol 3.